We have with us tonight Philippine Ambassador to the United States, Jose Manuel Babe Romualdez. Ambassador Romualdez, good evening. Thanks for taking our call again.
Hi, good evening to you. Good evening to all of you ladies.
Ambassador, first off, I wonder if you could give us more details on this phone call between Presidents Marcos and Trump. How long did it go on for, and why only now? I remember when President Marcos
no,
won
I
in
think,
2022.
well, first of all,
Biden
President
had
Marcos
called
was one
him
of the
within
first.
30.
No, President Marcos was one of the first to congratulate President-elect Trump. If you remember, I think he immediately tweeted in his account, but at the same time, we also sent a letter of congratulations to the president-elect. The schedule was really planned for this week because, as you know, President Trump has been extremely busy with filling up the cabinet posts. And also, he has had several planned calls with several other leaders. I think President Marcos was one of the first in terms of congratulating him, so he was scheduled. The schedule was already planned for yesterday or this morning, actually, your time.
So it wasn't hard to get in a slot with President-elect Trump.
Well, I would say it was difficult. The bottom line is that we have a very good relationship with the United States, and of course I know a number of people around President Trump's transition team, so we were able to communicate that President Marcos would like very much to congratulate him, if not in person, at least through telephone, and they said that we will definitely schedule it.
And your thoughts, Ambassador Babe, on how a working relationship between President Bongbong Marcos and the second presidency of Donald Trump would be like?
Well, I think it would be a very good relationship. As the president said, he actually met President Trump even before when he was a young man in New York when he went to one of those events with his mother. So there's that personal relationship which President Trump aware of. He is known to have to have personal relationships with heads of state, and I think that that relationship with the president would be a very good one. But at the same time, I think it's clear that our relationship with the United States will be maintained because of the challenges that we face. Our mutual defense treaty is very much in place, and as Secretary Austin has said, this is an ironclad commitment which I think will remain in place. This is a clear indication that we've been getting also from the Trump team.
And Ambassador, how long did that phone call go on for? I don't think I heard you say.
Well, I think it was for not a very long one, maybe about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. As I said, President Trump has been calling quite a number of the heads of state all over the world, and he's made a priority, especially to allies and friends like the Philippines.
Ambassador, there was a sensitive issue that was not discussed in that phone call, something that we're all very concerned about. And of course, it is on the issue of illegal Filipino immigrants in the United States. Before you called for our kababayans, our TNT kababayans to come home, that it is better for the undocumented to leave rather than be deported. But you also said that the DFA may extend assistance but only give advice. Can you clarify that and put that into context for us?
Well, first and foremost, from experience, I have known quite a number of people who were deported, and they've asked our help to try to see if they could get a visa, even just a tourist visa. And it's very difficult to do that. And so I was extremely concerned about many of the undocumented Filipinos who are here in the United States, that if they don't have a legal path, then it's best for them to voluntarily leave. Because we know for a fact that this immigration policy of President Trump is going to be a very, very strict one, and they intend to really implement it. That's the reason why he won in the first place. It's the immigration issue, and of course the economy here in the United States. Those are the two issues that propelled him into having his second term as President of the United States. President Marcos is here very clearly to do what we can for kababayans here in the United States. Of course, we will do everything we can in terms of advising them, because obviously we will not be able to do anything if they don't have any legal path. In other words, if they've been here illegally, and that there is no real connection on how we can manage or navigate them. We will have to advise them to read it. We also have a planned meeting here in Washington, D.C. with all the heads of our consuls, our consul generals from Guam, Honolulu, and the West Coast, San Francisco, L.A., Houston, and also here in Washington, and then Chicago and New York. And we're going to have precisely one of the main topics of our conversation or our meeting will be, of course, on how we can assist our Filipinos who are living here in the United States on a not legal basis, but an opportunity to be able to be legal. And if there is that opportunity, obviously they'll be able to have a path to stay here. So that's the first step that we're going to be doing. At the same time, we have Undersecretary Ed De Vega, who's going to meet with, he's actually head of the ATN, Assistance to Nationals. They're going to have a meeting next week, or this weekend, as a matter of fact, in Los Angeles, where again, they will be able to look and see how we can give assistance to our fellow Filipinos here in the United States.
Ambassador, the number that we have is around 370, so 370,000 Filipinos who are undocumented immigrants there in the United States. Are we still working with an accurate number, or do you have a handle on how many illegals are there? Just Filipinos, of course, including Hawaii and Guam.
Well, the word illegal, precisely, the word TNT, which is Tago ng Tago, is very well known in the Filipino circle.
Correct.
So obviously we don't have the exact number, but thereabouts it's between 300,000 to maybe a little less than 370,000, but there are quite a number of them. And they're all over the United States. They're not just concentrated in areas like California or here in the East Coast. They're in places that places like even Alaska, for instance, or some of the areas where you wouldn't think that there will be some Filipinos. But there are Filipinos all over the United States. The good thing that we have here, quite honestly, is we have a very good reputation. We are a good people. We are very much appreciated by many communities here in the United States. The Fil-Ams are very, very popular. They're known for being hospitable and hardworking. Even President Trump, in one of his rallies in Nevada, had praised the Filipinos as hardworking because he has Filipino Americans working in his hotel and in his golf club. So that, I think, would be probably an opportunity for us to say that they're not the kind of people that they're going after, which are criminals or those that would be a problem for the national security of the United States. I think with that, we would be able to have some compassion from the U.S. government to being able to see how we can help our Filipino citizens here and have a path towards staying here permanently.
Is that despite the fact that Trump has actually called the illegal immigrants and undocumented migrants, he's called them criminals, and today, all over social media, it's really buzzy. They're saying he might use the military to enforce these deportation crackdowns, that he, will start the crackdowns on day one to last until the first 100 days.
Well, he's actually said that he will declare a national emergency and use the military to enforce a crackdown.
But yes,
what's that going to look like?
It is really a major problem here in the United States. There are now, the official count is of 11, but there are about 15 million. That's quite a large number of illegal immigrants here in the United States. But I don't think generally he's saying all of them are criminals. He really, I think the top priority would be the criminals that are specifically criminal gangs that have been operating here in the United States. These are the people that they really want to get them out of the United States as quickly as possible, and also those that would be a problem for national security. But let me just point out that this problem of the United States is not only confined to the United States. Canada, for instance, is already also starting to close their borders or tighten their immigration policies. Many other countries in Europe are also doing the same thing. We are also going to have to be, or we are already starting to do so. We have a lot of illegal immigrants that are, or illegal citizens that are coming into our country, and we too have to really start finding ways to be able to control the number of people coming into our country illegally.
Speaking of using military force, there's actually a law in the U.S. Constitution, the Posse Comitatus Act, which prevents the United States military from enforcing locally, except in instances of insurrection to suppress lawlessness. Do you think President-elect Trump will make good on this threat, or is it just a threat to get people out?
Well, I think that's something that will have to be studied by the legal people here in the Justice Department, perhaps, of the United States. But there is such a thing as a state of emergency, and it's quite a wide range of what you call this powers that are given to the President of the United States to give an executive order. That is the understanding I had when I had a conversation with some of the legal people here. And if he uses that state of emergency, which means to say it is important for him to start getting people out of the United States. And if you remember, it was of course unfair at that time, but in World War II, they started to incarcerate Japanese nationals here in the United States because of what happened in World War II.
So there's a possibility of it getting ugly if people don't follow, because it kind of reminds me also of martial law. I mean, I know that's a sensitive topic, but the Posse Comitatus Act is a bit vaguely worded when it comes to where the exemptions are in terms of using military force in suppressing lawlessness.
Yes, there is a number of laws that are in place here in the United States that will probably be a little difficult to implement something like that. But as I said, President Trump now enjoys the powers that was given to him because he now controls the U.S. Well, the Republicans control the U.S. Congress, the House, and the Senate, and that's quite an achievement right there. The kind of power that the president will have at least in the first 2 years of his presidency.
Okay. Ambassador Babe, real quickly, I believe undocumented immigrants there, at least in the United States, are also entitled to due process. So how is that all going to, will we still see them getting their due process? Or
yes,
would that
there
be,
are quite a number of ways to be able to do that. That's the reason why it is important for us to get. We have a number of Filipino American immigration lawyers that we've already consulted, and we will continue to consult them as soon as we get the exact immigration policy that will be in place when President Trump takes office in January 20th next year. And we will be able to get an indication of what we can tell those that are staying here illegally for now, and see where they can file a way to be able to stay legally. As I said, I'm very emphatic about those that have very little chance of getting that legal status. And you know, I wrote about this, and in fact, another TV channel actually made a documentary about this maid who was here, and she was enslaved for 65 years because of the sword of the fact that she was going to be sent back to the Philippines. But she was actually living in conditions that were basically for a slave. And I don't want to see that happen, because I met that person. She passed away already, but she was actually freed only after she was already in her late 70s. For just a couple of years before. So I really feel very much for that situation. I know it's extreme, but it can happen, and that's the one that we really want to avoid.
But the future of the Obama-era DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood, was it arrivals? I forgot the last letter. But the Dreamers Act essentially is up in the air right now. So what recourse is there for Filipinos who entered the United States undocumented but as children?
Well, that one is another one that I think that we have to watch out for, because I know that there is a bill that they are even planning that if you come to the United States, even if you're a tourist and you're pregnant and you give birth here in the United States, that child can become automatically become an American citizen. The
Right.
bill is now going to be presented to the U.S. Congress, would most likely be passed. That will no longer be an available path to having a legal status. You have to be one parent has to be either a permanent resident or a Filipino American citizen before they can allow a child born here in the United States to be automatically given a status of being a citizen.
But before that bill is passed, what's the status now of those who were born
Well,
in
right
the
now
United States?
it's still in place, but it's getting more and more difficult because there will be many things that will be. I would say that the immigration will go through. That there's a little bit of confusion, obviously, right now. But the minute the new administration, President Trump, comes in, it's just a question of just a signature of the president that will give now the impetus into having a stricter immigration policy. And that's why we are, to a certain extent, running against time. And that's why I'm really concerned, to say the least, about what will happen to those that are illegally here and will
Right.
have no legal path.
Sorry, Ambassador, can I just clarify that you're thinking that they might repeal the citizenship by was it jurisdiction? When a pregnant woman gives birth in the United States, it automatically gives you citizenship. I don't remember what the
No,
is
no,
that citizenship by
there is now a bill. There is a bill that is now pending, which will most likely be presented once again in the next U.S. Congress. And this bill specifically says that they will no longer grant citizenship to anyone who gives birth. They have to be first, the parents have to be, one of them have to be either an American citizen or a permanent resident of the United States.
How fast do you see this bill getting passed?
especially
Well,
in
as
light
I
of
said-
in light of
as
the
I
fact
said, the
that Republicans will
Yeah.
control both houses of
But the
Congress.
Republicans are in control, so you can be sure that there'll be a lot of cooperation between the executive branch and the U.S. Congress. So, as I said, the powers that President Trump will have is quite enormous, considering the kind of mandate that he received.
Ambassador, just a question for the people here in the Philippines. There are a lot of concerns about getting a U.S. visa. Should people get their U.S. visa now? Or is it going to be tighter during the Trump administration? What would be your
What would
advice?
it look like? Yeah.
Well, I always tell our friends, everybody, just do everything right. Really, I mean, there is no other way. Just apply, give them the right information, and always say the truth. Because one way or the other, the minute there is something wrong with your application, then there's already a mark in your name. And I say that there is now a lot of information sharing between many of departments or agencies here in the United States. So if you are, for instance, caught overstaying, that automatically goes into the system. And the minute you apply for a visa, renewal of your visa, because you stayed more than 1 day after you were given a stamp that says you can stay for 3 months or whatever number of days that you're allowed, that's already a big mark. And the consul has a lot of power in the embassy. They can immediately say, well, you overstayed, so your visa is denied. So these are things that I always tell people, we have to stop thinking in terms of panusutan or all of that, because it really just makes it more difficult. We have, like I said, we have a very good relationship with the United States. I quite honestly, we are not one of those that are being targeted, that we're always in the dark list. But there are many who are doing that, and that's the ones that we are trying to say, stop doing that, because you're affecting the others that want to come to the United States legally or to visit their friends or to become a tourist. These are the people that we're trying to avoid and even those that are illegally staying here, we are advising them not to get the others mapapahamak in
Right.
Tagalog, di ba? We want to make sure that, kung talagang hindi pwede, just go back first because there's a way to be able to come back if you leave voluntarily, is what I'm saying.